Welcome back to the Sports Centre. We've got some breaking news for you. Obviously, the Club World Cup is underway. Manchester City are in action tonight, so too are Real Madrid. As you can see, our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solokol, is in Miami right now. And Kaveh, you've got some breaking news for us. What can you tell us?
Yes, the Football Association have charged Mykhailo Mudryk, the Chelsea winger, with an anti-doping violation. And if he is found guilty, he faces up to a 4-year ban from football. This whole story began last November when Mudryk was on international duty with Ukraine, and he provided a positive sample in a drugs test. Now, he was provisionally suspended, and that meant that he could not even go to Chelsea's training ground. Obviously, he couldn't play for Chelsea, he couldn't train with his Chelsea teammates. And we've been waiting to see whether the FA were going to charge him with this violation, and they have done that in the last few minutes. Now, I don't think this will come as a massive shock to Chelsea. Chelsea obviously were prepared for the fact that they were going to be without Mudryk. Last season, for instance, they had other options like Jadon Sancho. He's gone back to Manchester United, and speaking to Enzo Maresca here in the US a couple of days ago in Atlanta, he referenced the fact that Chelsea would need to sign another forward because, in his words, Sancho had left, and also Mudryk, or as he called him, Misha, was not available at the moment. Now, this is a big blow for the player himself, who has always maintained his innocence. He moved to Chelsea in a sort of big money deal. I think it was back in January 2023, if you remember. Arsenal were trying to sign him. I think Chelsea came in at the last minute, convinced him to move to Stamford Bridge instead of Arsenal. I think Chelsea agreed to pay something like £89 million for him, and he signed an 8 or 9 year contract. But obviously now what he has to do is focus on clearing his name. Otherwise, if he's found guilty of this violation by the FA, he will not be able to play any football at all until probably 2029.
Hey, that would be a long time, Kaveh. You mentioned the fact that, you know, when this all came out, he did write on Instagram, didn't he, that he was very shocked and he was going to look into it. I'm guessing we might have an appeal here. Is that what you'd expect from Mudryk?
Well, look, I think he is using the same lawyers as Paul Pogba used when he was charged with an anti-doping violation. And to be clear, I think I've been covering this story since it first broke back in November. All the indications I've had all along have been that the player himself absolutely maintains his innocence. He, I think, would tell you that he has never taken a performance-enhancing substance. But of course, now he has to go through the whole legal process. I'm sure it will take a lot of time, but he has provided this positive A sample, so he has to go through this process. And all along, Chelsea have played by the rules. As soon as they were made aware of the fact that he'd provided this positive sample, he was provisionally suspended. I know there were some shocked people at Chelsea when the player himself turned up at the conference final. I think, if you remember, on the day of the game, there were some pictures on social media of him wearing a sort of Chelsea official gilet, and he was posing for pictures with fans before the conference final against Real Betis. And I think Chelsea made it very clear that he was travelling to that game independently. He was not part of the Chelsea squad that flew out for that final. I know he's been working on his fitness personally. Of course, he's been trying to stay fit, but it looks like it could be a long, hard road back for Mudryk. But we have to stress, he maintains his innocence, and he is convinced that he will clear his name.
OK, brilliant. Thank you very much for bringing us up to date with that, Kaveh. Just to give you a little bit more on it as well, because an FA spokesperson has said this, we can confirm that Mykhailo Mudryk has been charged with anti-doping rule violations alleging the presence and or use of a prohibited substance in terms of regulations 3 and 4 of the FA's anti-doping regulations. As this is an ongoing case, we are not in a position to comment further at this time. You may remember that, as Carve was saying, he was provisionally suspended while he and Chelsea awaited for the results of a B sample, and the FA now confirmed that he has been charged. That's what's happened now. And under the FA rules, Mudryk could be facing, as Carve was saying, a very lengthy ban. He has denied knowingly breaking any rules, and this was a statement posted, as I was mentioning, on Instagram in December last year. He said, I can confirm that I have been notified that a sample I provided to the FA contained a banned substance. He went on to say, this has come as a complete shock, as I have never knowingly used any banned substances or broken any rules, and I'm working closely with my team to investigate how this could have happened. I know that I have not done anything wrong and remain hopeful that I will be back on the pitch soon. I cannot say any more now due to the confidentiality of the process, but I will as soon as I can. So he has been charged with anti-doping rule violations, and now, as I said, could be facing a very lengthy ban indeed.